In the middle of a match, Mark collapsed on the pickleball court. That night, he would learn he had brain cancer, and his fight to keep playing became a story of courage that inspired his entire community. You are currently visiting Hope Starts on the Pickleball Court, where every serve, swing, and smile carries a story of strength. Today, we're sharing Mark's journey of resilience both on and off the court. Please note, names and images have been changed to protect privacy, and nothing in this video should be taken as medical advice. Always consult a physician for everything before doing anything. Now, let's step onto the court with Mark and hear his story. From the outside, Mark's life looked picture perfect. He was the kind of man who carried quiet strength wherever he went. By day, he worked as a company pilot for a large corporation, trusted to fly executives across the country with precision and calm under pressure. At home, he was known not for his career, but for his role as husband and father. His wife, Claire, poured her energy into creating a warm, loving home, while their 3 children, Emily at 21, James at 17, and Ryan at 14, looked to their dad as both a role model and a friend. Despite the long hours of his job, Mark always carved out time for his family. He had a way of making ordinary evenings feel special. Movie nights on the couch, backyard barbecues, and cheering loudly at his kids' school activities. His presence, whether in the air or at home, was steady and reassuring. 5 years ago, Mark and Claire stumbled upon something that would become a defining chapter of their lives: pickleball. At first, it was simply a curiosity. A neighbor had invited them to try this strange hybrid of tennis, badminton, and ping pong, and they laughed their way through those early games, fumbling serves and missing easy shots. But before long, they were hooked. What started as a fun hobby grew into a weekly ritual. Friends joined in, then friends of friends, until eventually nearly 20 people made up their regular group. The courts became a gathering place, not just for sport, but for connection. They celebrated birthdays with cupcakes on the sidelines, shared stories about work and kids between matches, and cheered each other on as their skills improved. Mark loved it most because it was something he could share with Claire. Together, they built friendships and memories that went far beyond a scorecard. Pickleball became more than just a pastime, it was a second family. It was during one of these lively games that Mark first noticed something strange. He missed a shot. Not just any shot, but the kind of ball he could usually return without thinking. A few days later, it happened again. He laughed it off at first, joking that maybe he was finally getting older, but a nagging thought kept tugging at him. He mentioned it to Claire one evening as they packed up their paddles. "I don't know, something feels off," he admitted quietly. "It's like I'm not seeing the ball the same way." Claire, always supportive, tried to reassure him. "You're probably just tired. Or maybe the sun's in your eyes. You know how tricky it gets at that hour." She gave him a smile, the kind that had carried him through harder moments before. But deep down, Mark wasn't fully convinced. Weeks went by, and the mistakes kept happening. They were small, almost imperceptible, but noticeable enough to him. Still, he pushed the worry aside. After all, what could really be wrong? Then came the night that changed everything. The group had gathered on the courts as usual. Laughter echoed, paddles cracked against balls, and good-natured banter filled the air. It was the kind of evening Mark cherished, the kind that made life feel simple and joyful. But mid-game, something shifted. As he moved to return a serve, his legs seemed to give way. He stumbled, then collapsed hard onto the court. For a moment, everything froze. The laughter stopped, paddles fell silent, and shock rippled through the players. Claire's heart dropped as she rushed to his side, joined by friends who knelt around him. He was conscious but shaken, his eyes wide with confusion. Someone called 911. The group huddled close, their faces etched with worry. When the ambulance finally arrived, flashing lights lit up the court. Onlookers stood quietly, some holding hands, others whispering prayers. Mark was carefully lifted onto a stretcher, and as the doors closed, the community that had shared so many moments of joy stood together in stunned silence. At the hospital, doctors asked questions and ran tests. Claire recounted the missed shots, the odd feeling he had described weeks earlier, the collapse. The medical team listened carefully, and their focus shifted to his brain. The tests confirmed what no one wanted to hear: brain cancer. The word itself felt like a punch to the chest. Claire's knees nearly buckled as the reality set in. Emily, at 21, tried to process the news while simultaneously thinking of how to support her younger brothers. James, usually stoic, clenched his fists in frustration and fear. Ryan, still so young, looked to his mom and sister for reassurance, clinging to the hope that everything would somehow be okay. Mark, though shaken, did what he had always done. He faced it with quiet strength. "We'll get through this," he told his family, his voice steady even as his future suddenly seemed uncertain. From that day forward, life was different. Treatments began. Doctor visits filled the calendar. There were good days and hard days, moments of exhaustion and moments of hope. Claire became Mark's anchor. She attended every appointment, asked the hard questions, and stood beside him through every procedure. Emily stepped into a new role, balancing her own young adulthood with being a source of stability for her brothers. James began helping more at home, mowing the lawn, running errands, small acts that lifted weight from his mother's shoulders. And Ryan, with his youthful innocence, reminded them all of the importance of hope. His unwavering belief that his dad would be okay was both heartbreaking and inspiring. Yet, they were not alone. When news of Mark's diagnosis spread, the pickleball community rallied around them. The same friends who once traded serves and volleys now organized fundraisers, cooked meals, and sent cards filled with encouragement. On the court, games continued, but now, players wore shirts with Mark's name, raised their paddles in moments of tribute, and carried his spirit into every point. Pickleball had given Mark more than just a hobby. It had given him a network of people who refused to let him or his family walk this road alone. Each visit, each kind word, each game played in his honor reminded him that he was part of something larger than himself. Through the hardest days, Mark's story became about more than illness. It became a story of resilience, of how a man, his family, and a community leaned on one another when life delivered its harshest blows. Sometimes, Mark was able to join his friends again on the court, even if only to watch. The sound of the game, the laughter of friends, and the sight of his children playing alongside Claire filled him with peace. And when he couldn't be there, the community carried him in spirit, proving that the bonds forged through pickleball extended far beyond the painted lines of a court. His journey, no matter how it ended, was not defined by disease. It was defined by love, by courage, and by the incredible strength found in family and community. As Emily once said, standing with her brothers after a game, "Pickleball gave us more than memories. It gave us hope, and that's something cancer can't take away." And so, Mark's story lives on, a reminder that life is fragile, but within the bonds of family, friendship, and the simple joy of a game, there is always strength to be found. If Mark's story of strength and resilience on the pickleball court meant something to you, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. It helps us share more journeys like his. We've also created designs for you to consider, intended to help keep Mark's message alive, which you'll find in the description. And if you'd like more stories of courage, click the playlist here.